to the Among Lionhearts podcast, where we dare to have moxie for what matters. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Julia, and we're your new loudmouth, change-making do-gooder best friends here to embolden you to take more action, risk, and heart towards creating a more just, equitable, and brave world.
If you are looking to improve the performance of your social media profiles, understand what your social media insights are telling you about your audience, and harness these metrics to build and grow a community of loyal advocates, then this is the episode for you.
Yes. So back when I started blogging, that was like about 15 years ago. It's a brand new concept. I've talked about this a couple of times. When it comes to social media, I had to work really closely with social media over my career as an influencer, as a brand consultant, as a marketing director. And so I've got to see the evolution of social media basically from the beginning and how we use it in marketing and branding and how influencers use it. And it's always changing, right? Like we know it's always changing, but what we don't realize is the metrics are changing too, and the tools behind some of the platforms are changing as well. And so back 15 years ago, followers were, the top thing to be looking for, and the top marker of like what was if you were successful on social media. And that stayed really, really steady for a long time. Whenever I worked on campaigns, I would only be asked like what my follower account was, depending on my follower account, like what campaigns I would qualify for and stuff like that. And guess what? They about 5 years ago, they stopped asking for my follower account. They did, because guess what? It's not relevant anymore. Followers don't mean what they used to mean, and commenting doesn't mean what it used to mean as well, because social media is like always changing. So it's really complicated. So the metrics have evolved, and we have to pay attention to these different metrics now. We have to pay closer attention to some different ones.
Right. And it's evolved that way because, social media is constantly trying to keep those platforms as places that you want to spend time on.
People are fickle. People are fickle, and you'll jump to the next social media platform. So they've got
and you have influencers who kind of they learn all the tricks of the algorithm at the moment, right? But then suddenly nobody's wanting to spend time because all they've got is ads in their face all the time. So why are they going to spend time on that platform? And I think you shared with me that, they had to change it because suddenly all the brands and the professionals that were on the platforms were able to kind of flood it with their content. And then you weren't seeing on Facebook posts from your family and your friends, which is exactly why you joined. That's why you're there. You want to connect with people that you care about. And so they were having to adjust that, right? There was a correction.
Yeah, there wasn't always algorithms, right? There weren't always Facebook algorithms. It was who posted the most recently and stuff like that. And the platforms have had to make a lot of changes because they, we were saying earlier, Facebook didn't know what Facebook was when Facebook started. And Facebook has had so many different evolutions to what it is now. And they will, if they want to stay relevant, they're going to continue to do that. So we are working with algorithms now. And if you don't know what algorithm is, I'm pretty sure you do, but it's a whole bunch of coding and stuff like that, how you see feed on your social media posts, what content you're being shown. And it's really complicated. And honestly, nobody actually knows 100% what the algorithms are, except for the people inside the organizations. We get guesses into it. Sometimes Facebook, they'll release information about their algorithms, and they'll send out information of best practices and stuff like that, to how to get your stuff seen more. But no one actually gets to see the secret sauce of the algorithm, and they don't always tell you when the algorithms change either. So you have to be really on your toes when it comes to social media and marketing, and you have to stay up on trends, and you have to like know what people know, what the people who have their eye on the ball, what they're picking up in the algorithms, and kind of adjust things. And today we're talking about engagement and reach, and why we need to focus on engagement and reach over followers and comments. Because one thing,
Absolutely.
people aren't commenting the way that they used to.
No.
You know, people are a lot more comfortable with being silent, seeing your feed and like moving on. And it's crickets out there a lot of the times, unless you have like a massive hot topic that is super controversial. Most likely people aren't commenting on your post. You might get like an add a girl every once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, your husband, yeah, our husbands comment and share.
So how do you know if people are seeing your content? How do you know if people is anybody out there? Does anybody like this stuff? Is this doing anything? And actually, thank goodness for metrics, and thank goodness for analytics. Or, you know, a lot of people just quit social media, especially like the brand, a lot of brands and a lot of nonprofits. A lot of nonprofits wouldn't continue to use social media in today's day and age, because people aren't commenting and people aren't following. And so we have, thank goodness for these other metrics that we can use, and these other measurements of things that we can use. So we know that people are still seeing your content. We know that
Right.
people are still seeing your content and donating, or seeing your content and sharing it with other people. So we have these other things that we can view and see to see the value of what we're putting our time and effort into. So yeah. So if we had to compare, we had to compare the two, Michelle,
right.
how would you describe that?
So the two, so engagement and reach, right? Reach really measures the spread of the social media conversation. You know, how many eyeballs is that post reaching? Versus engagement is the measurement of the interactions between the users on the social media platform and your content. So sometimes engagement is comments, sometimes it's likes, sometimes it's shares, sometimes it's people tagging you, or you tagging other people, tags in the comments, post mentions about your organization. That's what engagement is. And we know that today in the algorithm, you know, in getting people really excited about your brand, what you're doing, engagement is king. It is one of the most important areas for you to pay attention to on social media. The engagement insights and analytics, they help you answer these questions. So how are people participating in the conversation about your cause? What are they doing to spread awareness and engage with relevant issues? Are you getting more people to take action on the issue? Are you receiving more inquiries for donations? Are your events well attended, right? How relevant are you to the people that you are trying to reach? That's engagement is really going to help you kind of figure that out. But don't neglect reach, right, Julia?
Yes, don't neglect reach. Very important. Do you want to take it with the reach too?
Sure. So the reach, sorry, I'm handing stuff off to you. You can learn a lot from Reach Analytics. Reach still helps you understand the appeal of your content. How many people are being exposed to your content due to the higher ranking in the analytic or the algorithm, and the shares by the users. So that helps you kind of get feedback for how important Facebook or Instagram feel like your content is, which is really important for us as marketers, because if we need to, you know, maybe work on changing our copy so that it's targeted a little bit more. Maybe you spend a lot of time talking about what you're doing and not enough time talking about what the context of what you're doing is to the people you want to follow you, right? How do they see themselves in your story? Are you taking some time to look over your copy and make sure that you're following the you rule? Are you talking about the things going on in your organization in the context of what they mean to the people you want to be involved, to be raving fans, to be advocates for your cause, to be, inviting the people that they know to join you in your mission. And Reach can really help you understand whether or not those things that you're putting together are appealing to a wide audience, especially under, how Facebook ranks them. So
Yeah, you've really got to like balance that reach and engagement. So engagement is kind of internal, right? So like your followers are interacting on your page, but guess what? Your content is, if you've only got engagement going on, that means only people who follow you are seeing your content, and not even all of them. It depends on the algorithm if Facebook is going to show them your content. But the more people are engaging on your content, the higher up it's going to appear in their feed. So you want people having conversations so that at least your followers who see you are going to have most likely see your content, because Facebook has put it at the top of their feed. And then that reach is really important, that you're seeing reach outside of your followers. So if you get people sharing your content or tagging people, that's going to help your content be exposed to people outside of your followers. So if you're not buying paid advertising for your content, most likely the only people seeing your content is a small portion of your followers. So you got to get that content out, right? Outside of the bubble. So more people are seeing it and engaging with it. And that means more donations. That means more supporters, and you've got to be building that. So that's why those two are really important to pay attention to, instead of the comments and the likes, the comments, the likes, and the followers, they don't convert to donations and supporters like reach and engagement does. That's why you gotta pay.
Right. Absolutely.
So yeah. So we've got, let's see, what kinds of things make up engagement? Kind of just what we talked about, Michelle: likes, comments, conversations. Is your content controversial? Does it spark conversations? Do you make it easy for people to comment on your post? Do you have opinions about your post? Like if you're reposting other people's comments, and I see them as mistake, and I know, Michelle, you've seen this too, where someone will repost content on their business page or on their nonprofit page, and they don't put any kind of context to it. They have no opinion about it. They just repost without saying anything about it. And then nobody comments on it. Nobody comments on that content. That's a piece of content you took the time to put on your feed and now represents your brand. And you had nothing to say about it. Like, you didn't give anybody any way to interact with it or to understand why you're posting it. So that's like a small example of that. So
a lot of times we tend to like we see something and we're like, oh, this is really important for my community. But then you like kind of hesitate to write like what your opinion is. And there's a lot of like, I'm feeling like my followers need to make up their own mind about this. And, the article has said it really, really well, and I don't really need to, and it's not. In order for the people who follow you, who've prioritized you, who've decided to make space for you in their social media, they want to hear what you have to say about it. I mean, maybe you agree with the article, maybe you see the article as a really important turning point, and it takes a couple minutes, and it takes a little bit of self-validation of being like, people want to hear what I have to say about this, or people want to hear what our organization has to say about this. But do it, because it definitely sparks conversations. It says not only, I think that this is important for the people who follow me, but it tells them why you think it's important for the people that follow you. And people crave leadership. They want to be able to know why this should be important to them, because We know attention spans on social media are shrinking. We know people spend a lot less time on content. And if they have to think too much to get to where engaging with that content is important to them, then, you know, you may have shared a really valuable piece of content that somebody else may have, you know, something that they want to say, or something that they want to share that with their own group, but not having you contextualizes it makes them potentially miss out on the opportunity too, right?
Right. And that really lowers your engagement. And you have no space to be putting out any sort of content where you can do something really, really small to up your engagement, right? Like, so you need every one of those. You got to maximize every piece of content. So along the lines of like reach, if you want to expand your reach numbers so that more people are having those multiple touch points of your organization, you've got to concentrate on getting the shares, getting people to share your content. And the first place to start with that when you're creating your content is asking yourself, first of all, examining your content in the past and looking at how often do my online supporters share my content. You know, are there pieces of content here that they share more than others? Like really comb through that and comb through your posts and look for what is the most shareable things that they seem to be wanting to share with other people. And then the second thing you need to ask yourself is this piece of content I'm making built to be shareable? So think about that for a minute. Is this built to be shareable? Is this only applicable to my supporters? Can I make this content relevant to the people who are seeing it, to their friends and family? Like, take it another step further and be like, could I make this into a graphic that is fun, that my supporter would want to share with their friends and family because their friends and family would find this interesting?
Exactly.
Start thinking of your content a couple of steps further down the line and start creating shareable content. Huge piece of getting those multiple shares. Because like, if you're putting out content that the main point of that to your audience, the value in that to your audience is entertainment, or, you know, just giving them an update on something that's happening, how is that applicable to their friends and family? It's not. They're not going to share it. They might give it a thumbs up, you know, or they might comment, good job, but you've got to be creating regular shareable content. So
and when we talk shares, I just want to be clear, right? When we talk shares, that's mainly Facebook, how you increase your reach on Facebook, right? Because I mean, are we sharing on Instagram? You know, because it's really, we're talking about Facebook content specifically when we're talking about the sharing, right?
But it is applicable. It is applicable to stories as well. So people are sharing a lot, resharing a lot on stories. So you be thinking about how to create content in your stories that is reshareable or repostable. And another great way to make that shareable is tagging people in your stories. They love that. It sends them a notification that that was applied to them, and you have a lot higher likelihood of that person sharing it if they've been tagged into something. There's lots of ways to create shareable content across all the boards, even TikTok, you know. There's some really great ways, you know, duetting on TikTok is a great way to share. And then Instagram reposting, or just people will take like your main feed post and they can repost it back up into their stories is what they're most likely to do on Instagram. On Facebook, they make sharing just super, super simple. And so it's different on every platform, but yeah. That was a good point to point out and stuff. And then there are two types, back to engagement a little bit, there are two types of engagement. And that is first organic engagement, and there's paid engagement. So, and what's really cool about Facebook analytics is they divide the two. they divide them up so you can see what's paid for and what's organic. And your paid stuff is just like, if you have a really great piece of content and you boost it for like $5 or something like that. So more people outside of your followers see your content, it will separate the analytics so you can have those, which is really, really nice to have. So you can see how your advertising works and stuff like that. And your organic reach is just how you put this piece of content out there and you let your followers take it away. Like
exactly.
Bless it and let it become its own animal, kind of a
I've actually heard people talk about like organic reach versus paid reach, and sometimes the context I've heard in those conversations seems to suggest that organic is better and paid reach is, you know, not as good. And I think that that's something that maybe needs to be debunked a little bit, because like you're saying, there's a purpose for both of them, right? You have organic reach, you have how your already established audience is seeing it, right? Because not all of our audience is going to see it. Maybe they don't get on at a time when Facebook is prioritizing your stuff. So you're not necessarily going to get all of your followers to see something just because of that organic reach. And then on Facebook, you literally can't access people outside of your own audience. Unless they're sharing it with their people. So with the organic reach, you can still reach outside people with shares, but being able to incorporate that paid engagement and having Facebook show it to people outside of your circle, especially when you're maybe a younger nonprofit, or if you're trying to shift audiences, right? You feel like, oh, we've got a lot of older folks who really pay attention to us and we really want to start to engage maybe some, you know, younger families or middle-aged couples. That is a really good way to kind of shift and experiment and see what, you know, because you do get to see the difference between your organic reach and your paid reach. You know, you can take a look at those numbers and kind of gauge how well the content you're producing is appealing to people outside with that paid reach. And it's really about a good mix of both. If you are actively trying to utilize your social media profiles for fundraising efforts, which we definitely always recommend that people listening to our podcast focus on. It is a very powerful fundraising tool, and you should prioritize fundraising and the ability of it to grow your base and grow your advocates, your constituents, over, you know, just sharing information about your nonprofit. And so when you are utilizing it that way, having a good mix of paid and organic reach is a really good strategy.
Absolutely. Facebook has made boosting and promotional content really, really easy, and having those analytics kind of like separated like that. But like what you're kind of saying is what I really love about the boosting the post is if you create content for a very specific demographic that you want to see more involved in your audience, you can target that age range or that group. Maybe you have an event or something like that that's only it's a local event, so you know it's only really going to appeal to like localized people. Sending that advertising out to just anybody who follows you is not a really great way of your resources, right? So that's what's really cool about Facebook Boost is and their advertising is you can localize the area that you're sending your ads out to. And like what's really, really neat and what nonprofits should be super psyched about is like $5 goes a really long way on
it does compared to like printing flyers and you know, old-fashioned taking out a magazine ad. Like you're reaching a lot of people for $5. And I mean, just start with like $5. Just try $5 and see what it does. And then the other really cool thing about that I was going to say is oh, maybe I lost it. I'll have to come back to that. But I had a
so
really
many nerdy cool things about
the location tagging. They find that the location tagging really boosts engagement, right? So just adding a location tag. I know in our business, right, we definitely are located in Utah and Colorado, and we definitely want to start by appealing to, you know, local nonprofits for our business to be able to get the clients that we're trying to reach. But sometimes I hesitate to put that location tag on there because I'm like, but what about all the other people that we want to reach? Are they gonna, and you definitely have to consider that, but knowing that just adding the location tag really boosts your engagement, and it makes people who are in those locations feel prioritized and feel like they're important. And you're saying like, hey people here, hey, this is important to you, and they will be like, you know what, this is cool, this is important.
Having that location tags too is really cool, kind of in a marketing psychology way, because what it also does on top of, like, you know, telling people should this apply to you, but if it doesn't apply to them, it's like if I were to tag something like our content and, you know, tag that it's like Utah content and stuff like that, it would do more than just appeal to people in Utah. What it also tells people outside of Utah is where I'm located. And just that trust. Yes. Just build that trust, just adding like that small, simple thing. And I think that's mostly just in Instagram that you can do that, tag your content in Instagram with your location. But just, and on Facebook, you can do it by having it in like your description, and then also adding your address in the side too. But on Instagram, your content, you can do it. So it's like at the top, it's pretty like high up on the hierarchy of
what they're going to see.
Yeah, it's like right there next to your name. First thing people see is your location. And also if they've ever been to Utah too, that could give them the warm and fuzzies, you know, about your content. Oh, I had a great time in Utah, you know, before COVID. And then when I was there last time, what did these gals have to say? You know, or like, what is this cause there? What are they doing in Utah? I just like drove through there, you know, a couple months ago. So there's lots of ways like using your location, boost your engagement with people. So yes, use your location.
And we don't have to say it to nonprofits. They know it. Trust is like so important for them, even when you're just working with you know, local like face-to-face audiences, but certainly once you're online and you know, convincing people that you're not just a faceless Russian bot is really important. And we know from looking at you know, studies that they've done that the younger generations, the Gen Xers, the millennials, the Gen Zers, they all are a lot more skeptical. And so being able to mark like a location so that people can look you up and be able to verify, you know, the awesome things that you're doing, not just from you, is really valuable to those audiences. So if you're trying to build within those audiences, it's going to be a really important thing not to overlook.
So also like another way to build that engagement, anytime that you're putting stuff out that like really instills trust in your audience, your location, being vulnerable, the behind the scenes kind of stuff, all of that stuff is going to bring you a lot more engagement because you're engaging. Like you're opening yourselves up, you're, you know, making more transparency. And so yeah, people are going to be a lot more connected with that and wanting to connect with your content because it's fresh in this world of filters and, you know, fake news and all the millions of things. Transparency feels fresh. Like trust feels fresh, you know,
but it doesn't necessarily feel natural. Right? Sometimes we have to convince ourselves you know, that we're not putting things at risk to engage with people that way, especially, you know, especially when you've been trained for corporate environments. I know I have, and I know that that's something that is always like kind of in the back of my head is like risk management, like, Yeah, but people won't engage with you if you don't get over that, because more and more people want to interact with human beings. You know, we get phone calls from robots, so we get emails from robots, so we get friend requests on Facebook from robots, and comments on our stuff from robots. We want to know that we're interacting with a person, and the authenticity and vulnerability go a long way in building that kind of trust online.
Yeah, absolutely. So so hopefully you guys are understanding reach and engagement pretty good now. Hope that you start feeling a little comfortable getting your analytics, dig in there, regularly get in there. We recommend that you at least view your analytics biannually and create like a little report for yourself. You're really going to start liking it. Start once you have like 2 different analytics that you can compare, and you can see your growth and you can see what posts people are connecting with. I think you're just going to take it from there. You're going to see the value in it. And because what you're going to love about it is that you can really narrow down your efforts, right? So you're creating all this content, and you're going to be able to really clearly see what is connecting with people. So yeah, do it twice a year at least. If you can get up to 4 times.
That's the at least, but best practices would be to do it every month.
Yes, best practices. Every month you should be reviewing, taking a peek in there, and
at least taking a snapshot and putting it in a folder where you can look at it later.
Screenshots, they work great. You don't have to get fancy. If you don't have the time, just take some screenshots. Once a month, set a timer on your calendar to go take screenshots of your analytics and stuff. So maybe at the end of the year, like you can put them all back to back and stuff in. And then another thing you can do with your analytics is you can identify the top 5 pieces of content and like really start dissecting that content. Like, are people commenting on this? Are they telling me why they like this? Are they sharing this? What kind of engagement am I actually getting from this? What is it about this post that seems to be so appealing to our audience? And now you know what kind of content you should be making more of, and the stuff that's just getting no interactions and no likes, get that off your plate. Stop doing that. Waste of your time. Just do the things that are working for your unique organization. That's what's really cool about the analytics, is we really want to reduce your amount of time and stress and get you to where you know it works and you're staying on top of that.
Absolutely.
And then another thing you can do with your analytics is you can identify your audience, which is really, really cool and super helpful. So there's this
where are they at? How old are they? Are they male or female? Is it a good mix of both? All kinds of demographic markers within those insight reports.
Yeah. I was working with a nonprofit a couple of years ago, and we examined their audience, and I'm not sure if they've ever done it before because they seemed kind of surprised at the, what we pulled from our analytics, that they had a 75% female audience. And the amount of women that were engaging with their cause and stuff. And what was really great about that is knowing that so many women were responding to this specific nonprofit, we were able to adjust some of our messaging and even how we talked in our social media. Even the persona we brought through had a lot bigger hearted, softer, language and stuff like that, because we knew who we were speaking to. We knew who was showing up to our cause and participating.
Absolutely.
So we could talk to them more like humans, and in a way that appealed to them. So that's what's really cool about that analytics too, is and also what's cool about the age one is if you use terms, if you're like us and you're almost 40, we use very, very different terms than the 18-year-olds and stuff like that. So some terms do not apply. Terms What was it? I said something to a coworker a couple of years ago. I used this phrase. It was like, oh, it was like a Jerry Springer moment. And much younger gal, and she just looked at me with like blank eyes, and I'm all,
I just dive inside a little.
like, how do you know Jerry Springer is? Like, that is such a common term. So if you're
a defining place in our generation.
So if you're creating content and you have a really high demographic of 18-year-olds, don't use terms like Jerry Springer. Not that you would, but
try and find some other generational contextual code words to use.
Like, we should do like a whole episode on the language of the 18-year-olds for nonprofits.
Seriously, right? And my 19-year-old assures me that On Fleek is no longer cool.
The young terms are going too fast for us.
Just change all the time.
Use the new terms just to freak out the younger people so they stop using it. That's a great way. Yes. Nothing's faster than getting them to stop saying, here's the tea, or here's how you use the tea, than having a 40-year-old say it to them.
Exactly.
So. All right. So don't forget to adjust your content based on your analytics, what's working for them, what's appealing to your audience, how to speak to your audience. Use it as a tool. It's a really, really great one to really like cut down on you playing a guessing game, like, and really maximize your efforts. Yeah. All right, Michelle, what's our takeaways? You're going to do the podcast in a minute today.
So. It says Julia. But it says Julia.
I was the last one to talk, so you're on.
Okay. All right. So we're coming into podcast in a minute. This is our takeaways from today's episode. First takeaway is engagement is the number one metric that you should pay attention to. It is king. Pay attention to it. Try and up your engagement numbers to be able to make your social media platforms more effective. Regularly schedule analytic reports and compare them to prior reports to mark growth, determine weak areas in your social media, and know where to adjust the content. Adjust your content based on your analytics. Utilize your analytics to find what is popular with your online supporters and make more of that content. And just finally, one last point. If this is all really, really confusing to you and you aspire to be a rock star marketing director within your organization, you can always call Among Lionhearts, and we will be happy to do the heavy lifting and the tough thinking for you.
You can always hire. Yes. In case you didn't know, you can hire us. We'll take care of you. We'll take really good care of your engagements and all your analytics. You can get back to doing all the cool stuff you do. So yes.
All right. So Julia, why don't you take away our do-gooder feature?
All right, our do-gooder feature this month is Memory Matters. They are absolutely lovely. We had a wonderful time interviewing Luann. So Luann Lindquist, I hope I say, is that Lundquist?
Lundquist, yep.
Okay, she founded Memory Matters in 2012. So their mission is to reduce and increase wellness for individuals with dementia and their caregivers through activities, support, education, and consultations. Memory Matters Utah is an excellent resource for those living with dementia and their caregivers. Please visit and follow them on Facebook to support their mission and stay up to date on important happenings. They are doing some very, very cool things. If you've not watched the episode on her interview, go see it. They're doing some really, really neat things, and we talk all about it in that episode. So, and then if you have a nonprofit that you would like us to feature, please send us a message or leave a comment and nominate them. We would love to look into other nonprofits and see what they're doing. We love featuring them. I think it's my favorite thing we do here on the podcast is when we do those interview episodes. We always are just like super energized afterwards and so excited to be talking with people who are like-minded and are doing such good things in the world and
dedicating their lives to service.
And it just feels really dang good, right? Just really, really dang good. Every time we do one of those interviews, I'm like, we're doing what we're meant to do here at Among Lion Hearts. Like, this is exactly why we signed up for this. And so, okay. Do-gooder, hype up message?
Yes. Our do-gooder hype up message today is a quote from Coretta Scott King. And her quote is, "The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members." So we thought we would bring you back on, the important measurements, which is with you and all your supporters, the compassionate actions of your members. And Julia, if you want to take us into our sign off.
I love that. Among Lion Hearts is a socially conscious marketing agency where we specialize in social media management and influencer marketing for the unique needs of social enterprises like yours and charities like yours. Let our team of experts manage your social media workload for you so you can get back to doing more good. Remember, every small act of courage, no matter how small, is not actually small at all. You, my dear, are standing among lion hearts.